All right. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us here today and anyone who will be watching this when we post it on our YouTube page tomorrow. Very excited to be talking with you all here as we prepare for another application enrollment registration period here at CU Denver ahead of our spring 2026 class, starting the MS in Entrepreneurship program. My name is Brian Brinkman. I oversee recruitment and advising for the Jake Jobs Center for Entrepreneurship. So chances are, if you are either applying for this program, if you have enrolled in this program, if you're planning to start this program in either the spring, summer, or fall of 2026, we've spoken or interacted in some way, shape, or form. I will be your main point of contact throughout the application process. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, provide any resources that you may need to better understand our program, better understand enrollment and registration within our program. In addition to that, once you've enrolled and we start planning your courses, I will work with you from an advising standpoint through graduation. So any questions you have, you're going to get my contact information here again in a couple slides, but any questions you have throughout the program, do not hesitate to send my way. I'm here to help you all to make the most of your overall program, put you in a position where you feel like you're able to succeed as an entrepreneur throughout this. And in this webinar today, we are going to hear not only from myself and some of my insights about the program, but most notably, we're going to hear from two of our recent graduates, two very successful students within the MS Entrepreneurship program. They're going to be joining me in a couple slides to talk through their experience in the program, any recommendations that they have for students enrolling in the program to be successful, any recommendations they have for students who are still applying to be successful in their application. And I'll be happy to take any sort of questions that students have by the end of the presentation to make sure that you all have a clear understanding of what makes this program tick, what makes it work really well, and to let us know any thoughts that you have at this point in time. So we'll take some questions towards the end, but there's going to be a lot of great information throughout. So what we're going to go through here today, we're going to do a quick overview of the Jake Jobs Center for Entrepreneurship as well as CU Denver at large, give you an idea of what makes our program unique. We're going to hear throughout from our student ambassadors. We're going to share a little bit of information about the program structure for the MS program, the curriculum, the breakdown of that, what the certificates are, how those are intertwined within your overall degree, how those can be a separate asset as well. The program goals, what we are looking for you to excel at as a student within our program, as well as why we focus so heavily on experiential learning. We're going to talk a bit about the networking and mentorship opportunities available to you within the program, go over quickly our overall tuition and scholarship offerings, talk briefly about the application for those of you who are still applying for the program, give you some insight into best strategies on the application, and then hear a little bit about the student testimonial side of things so that you have a clear idea of what makes a student successful in this program, plus take some questions. All right, so I want to bring them off on camera here and off mute. Our two student ambassadors joining us here today. Magdiel Castillo graduated in spring of 2025. He's accomplished DJ. He's an accomplished entrepreneur himself. He's an accomplished wedding planner. He executes parties from a vibe and a musical standpoint that is unparalleled. He is always tweaking ideas, always thinking about education, always thinking about health and wellness. And he really came with a ton of energy and insight into our program and was quite successful as he graduated here in the spring. Mag, welcome so much. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. And then we also have Tuneishia Harris. Tuneishia, if you want to come on screen here with us. Tuneishia graduated this summer. She runs an education organization here in Denver and came in looking for a ton of insights into networking, into investing, into marketing, and really attacked this program in a really big way. Was one of our standout students from an academic standpoint, participated in a number of our events, and is now doing a lot of great work mentoring students as they enroll in our program and in making sure that they have a clear understanding of what it really takes to be successful. Tuneishia, thanks so much for joining us, and how are you doing today?
I am doing better than amazing. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you guys, and we're gonna lean on your valuable insight here throughout the presentation. A quick bit of insight for those of you who are, thinking about applying, who may be like, well, why would I go to CU Denver when there are other institutions that potentially offer MS and entrepreneurship programs, or there are other programs I may look into? A couple things just to keep note of with regards to CU Denver. Um, One of the biggest things is that we are located right in the heart of downtown Denver. And so we have a lot of access and immediate access to businesses, to leaders, to entrepreneurs, to conferences and events, and a lot of opportunities for students to engage with while within our program. Um, Location matters in a lot of cases, and us being right downtown allows us to host a number of events that brings in entrepreneurs, do business tours and visit companies and get a clearer sense of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, as well as what it takes to start up your own business. And then from a networking standpoint, if you're on campus taking classes, it's a lot easier to go and meet a mentor, an internship opportunity for coffee when you're downtown versus when you have to travel in. So our location is really essential here. We're also completely ASCSB accredited. We are part of the top 5% of business schools worldwide without accreditation. Um, we are the most diverse research university in Colorado. 49% of our students are first generation, 42 are students of color, 8% are either active duty military personnel or veterans, and 7% of CU Denver students are international. We see the globe in a microcosm here at CU Denver, and we cater to a very unique student body, many students who are coming from overseas for the very first time, as well as students who are going back to college after being in their careers for a significant period in time, as well as students who may be the first student in their family to go to school. So it's a very vibrant, very exciting place to go to school because you have a lot of just dynamics with the student population at large. Um, and then Denver as a whole, these stats are slightly outdated at this point in time, but they hold up. Um, According to the U.S. News and World Report in 2020, we were the number 2 best place to live in the United States and the number 6 best place to start a business as of 2022. The startup environment, the startup mindset is ever present and really a huge part of what makes this university successful. In terms of the Jake Jab Center for Entrepreneurship, so this was founded in 1996 as the Bard Center. It was renamed, however, in 2013 following a $12 million investment and donation from Jake Jabs himself. We are an academic department and a resource center with the goal of fostering entrepreneurship at CU Denver. We believe that small business, and this comes from, the oversight of Jake Jabs in a lot of cases, small business leadership, small business management is a huge, huge opportunity for students to really chase down their goals, really go after their overall passions. And from an economic standpoint, it's a huge opportunity for us to impact the local economy here. So we believe that entrepreneurship is the way forward for a city like Denver, and we're very excited to foster that spirit with all of our students, even those who may not go on to start their own businesses. Um, One of the goals of the center is that we develop and we have developed relationships with local business leaders, which provides opportunities and support to all of our entrepreneurship students. And then we offer the Climb, which is our annual pitch competition and other experiential events to drive forward your entrepreneurial studies. The goal here is that you are thinking and acting like an entrepreneur from day one, and you have the pressure, the support, the lack of support sometimes because entrepreneurs work, on their own, and we want to put you in a position where you really think like an entrepreneur from day one. But also, that net to kind of fall back on, where you can consistently be in a position where you know that you are being supported by a university that is here to make sure you succeed with your ideas, not be beholden to them if they're not going to work. And then my contact information, I'll go ahead, just take a quick picture of this, my name, my phone number, my email, my Calendly link. I've been working in both undergrad and graduate recruitment and advising for over a decade at this point in time. It's a huge passion of mine. I love seeing students at a point where they don't totally know, is school right for me again? Am I ready to go back? And putting down all the steps of why this is the right next step for them, and then working with them through their program. It's a huge point of passion for me. I love seeing students grow. I'm here and more excited to work with new students who are coming into our program, as well as ensuring that our students who are within our program are ultimately succeeding, and getting as much out of this as possible. So do not hesitate to reach out to me, schedule a call so that we can discuss your program goals, any questions you have, all of that. All right. So I want to dive in here to an overview of our program, and I want to bring in Mag and Tuneishia here to talk with us. Just a quick breakdown. So it's a 30 credit customizable curriculum. This allows you to choose any 10 courses in entrepreneurship that align with your interests, your goals, your knowledge gaps. I will serve as you know, I'll work with you kind of in partnership to ensure we're making the correct class choices based on what your overall goals are, what you're looking to accomplish within this program. But ultimately, we have no prerequisites, so you have the ability to determine your entire class schedule throughout the program based on available courses. We have courses in small business accounting and finance, visionary leadership and business development, mission-driven entrepreneurship, lean marketing, more. We'll share more here as we go through the presentation. We also have students, and I encourage students to take part in our experiential events like the Climb, our business pitch competition, the Rut Bridges Venture Fund, where you can either serve as a investor analyzing business pitches and determining where to invest funds in, or pitching ideas to them and seeing if you can get funds for your business. We also have mentorship opportunities with local entrepreneurs. We will set you up with those mentorship opportunities and ensure you're speaking with people who are best suited to give you advice and insights. And then we offer internships for credit. So if you are interested in pursuing your passion through a working experience that you can receive 3 credits for, we can set you up on that. One thing I want to focus on and Mag, I'll pull you in on this here first. The flexibility, we talk about this, the customizable 30 credit curriculum. You essentially select the courses that work best for you. How does that flexibility and that autonomy affect you as a student?
Um, well, I think it's very beneficial to entrepreneurs because, everybody, as you mentioned, it could be having a different path, maybe somebody's already has a business where they already have an accountant and all that. So they might not need to, take a bunch of accounting classes per se, or, maybe they want to just focus on marketing, or maybe somebody like me, they want to go and, touch up on a little bit of everything. But I think it works really good for somebody that's already practicing entrepreneurship rather than, trying to figure out what they want to do. If you already know what you want to do and what you need, then the flexibility allows you to just take what you need instead of, having to spend time doing something where it might not be very necessary to your path.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and that's something I want to highlight, for anyone out there still considering what they want to do from a grad school standpoint. A lot of business related programs have, the first, say, 3 to 5 classes are set in stone. You have to take these to receive these credits to then move forward, and then you choose what do you want to specialize in within that overall degree. And there's definitely a benefit to that. I don't want to knock it there. That's worked for decades at this point in time. What we ultimately decided was we're working with a different type of student here in the MS Entrepreneurship program, and I think it's something for students, prospective students out there, new students to really keep in mind is that we're not looking at you like we look at an MBA student. We're looking at you as someone who is really curious about launching their own business, about determining and validating if their ideas are pursuable. And really putting you in a position where ultimately you are the decision maker based on the overall success or failure of your organization in a lot of cases. And so putting you in that sort of position where you're able to really determine, like Mag said, I need this information. I don't necessarily need this information because I have support here or I have past knowledge. We talk a lot about skill gaps here and where we can identify an area that not necessarily you're not skilled in, but an area where you could skill up and you could continue to gain experience. Um, Tanisha, I'm going to bring you in here on this slide, but I just want to run through it quickly just to reinforce this point of the customizable nature of it. So you choose any 10 entrepreneurship courses in any order. This is obviously dependent on method and timing. Does it work out for you for a class to be in person? Would you prefer it to be online? Is this class in a semester when you can, really load up, or is it a lighter semester for you? All of that we will work through from a degree planning standpoint, so don't stress about that at this point in time. But classes are offered both online courses. There are also in-person courses. There's a stackable nature to this degree. So if you're in the degree and you're like, you know what? I just got a lot of really cool experience in this area, and I'd like to focus more on that. We can add a certificate or a dual degree from a different uh, school or college here or department in the business school to make sure that you feel as though you're getting all the information you need. Experiential opportunities, once again, just a big thing to hammer home. We have a dual degree option with information systems, as well as with international business, as well as with the 1 year MBA. A lot of opportunities for you there. And then for any CU Denver undergrads on right now or watching this in, once this has been posted, if you are an undergrad studying entrepreneurship and you want to pursue the 4+1 plan, which allows you to complete your degree in 4 years and then your master's degree in 1 year by pulling two grad level courses into your undergraduate studies, just send me an email. We can talk through that. It's a very straightforward process that we've worked with many students on. Um, but Tanisha, I want to ask you the online versus in-person nature of the program. It's something that allows students a lot of flexibility. If you want to be in person for classes, you have that ability. You can come onto campus. You can engage with and connect with other students. If you have a very busy semester and it makes more sense for you to be online, you can focus on online courses. How did that differentiation help you, and what were your thoughts on online versus in person?
I enjoyed both online and in person. At the beginning, when I first started with my degree plan, I was in person and I really appreciated it because I got to connect with other individuals like myself, um, building upon entrepreneurship, and then just figuring things out, coming back as adults to get these degrees, whether it was work related or, for your own business. So I
Yeah.
enjoyed the interaction and especially just being like face to face and getting that information, not feeling like disconnected. Sometimes online can feel like, you're you're out there by yourself.
Mm.
So I really appreciated the in-person, but the online actually allowed me flexibility. When my schedule changed, then I was able to go in and then select online classes so that I wasn't affected or saying like, hey, I need to postpone this class until another year and extending the time, which is not a problem if your schedule is like that, you have work-life balance, but the online allowed me that flexibility to continue to do what I was doing outside of school.
And that's one of the reasons we keep those classes is I think that we all we see, and I see it when we host events, and there are students who are in person connecting with us at those events, and then they go to an in-person class following those events. There is a camaraderie. Like, it's hard to deny that. When you're in person, there's that energy, there's excitement. You share an idea, someone shares one back, you guys go back and forth. You're having a really good collaborative conversation. That can lead to really spirited classroom settings, and we definitely see that. But I think to your point, the fact that we're able to provide for students the opportunity to choose what works for them based on their overall schedule and say, this semester I can focus a little bit more heavy on in-person courses. This next semester I need to be online, and you don't feel like you lose that connection to the center or to mentors. That's a huge thing. Wonderful. All right, I want to share a little bit of information here about the entrepreneurship certificates. I talked about this at the top, but I just want to reinforce it. So there are two pathways to getting into the Masters of Entrepreneurship program. The first is to apply directly to the MS Entrepreneurship program. The second is to start as a certificate student, taking 3 courses, which you then receive a master's level certificate. Now, and then you can also transfer that into the master's level, full master's if you choose. Um, all MS and entrepreneurship students, so if you start with a 10 credit or the 10 course program, you will receive your first certificate after 3 courses, and then your second certificate after 7 courses. The reason that we have that in place is oftentimes you see students who post that they're going back to grad school, that they are in a position where they're pursuing this larger goal. And then no information comes up until they graduate, and maybe that's a couple years away. This offers you the opportunity to reinforce to employers, to family, to your support network that you are making significant accomplishments and changes, or advancements within your overall career within our master's level program. So this gives you the ability to really ensure you're showcasing that this is something that means a lot to you, that you are successful in, and you can really showcase your overall skill set as a budding entrepreneur. So that's number one. Number two, this allows you the opportunity to be a little bit more flexible within your program. If you choose ultimately to just pursue the certificate, this emphasizes the trialability nature of our program. Perhaps you've gotten the experience that is needed, and you're ready to move on in your overall career. You leave the program potentially without the full degree. You still have the certificate. That's still something that can go on your resume. It still showcases an advancement in your overall education. And then this also allows electives to expand our program, which allows us to provide avenues for students to focus on what they want to study. So again, if you decide ultimately, I'm just going to stick with the first 2 certificates, I don't need the degree, but I'm going to go and pursue this degree, you're still engaging with our center, you're still a part of our overall department, and you're still putting yourself in a position where you are accomplishing larger goals while ticking off that box of accomplishments. If anyone has questions about the certificate, do not hesitate to send me an email. I'd be more than happy to talk further about it. But just to clarify, because I always get this question, MS and entrepreneurship students will receive their first certificate after they complete their first 3 courses in the program, and their second certificate after they complete their next 4, their 7th course in the program. So even if you don't apply for the certificate, you're still going to receive it. All right, curriculum breakdown. I want to go through this, and then I want to bring back in Mag and Tuneishia here. So 10 courses across 30 credits. Concept development and business model development and planning. These courses allow you to develop a pitch, present that idea to your classmates. You will be graded on that overall pitch and how you have determined the overall viability of your product. You take that to business model development and planning in the spring. You build that out into a full business plan, which then aligns with the climb, allowing you a seamless opportunity to participate in our annual event. AI-driven entrepreneurship. How do we use the skills of AI and the technology of AI to be successful within our overall program or within our overall business? Excuse me. What are AI companies doing to set themselves apart and creating so much of a frenzy around investment? We're going to go through all of that, so you're going to have a real clear idea of where AI is within small business leadership and entrepreneurship. Leadership in new ventures. How do you determine the best skills, the best tactics, the best approaches to be a leader in a small company that is growing, that is still telling and writing its own story? Entrepreneurship through acquisition. This is a new course that we are launching in spring 2026. How do you purchase a company that is already in place, that is already has the nuts and bolts, attached to it, and put yourself in a position where that company can now be your small business that you build? What are the advantages here? What are the challenges? How do you get into this market? And then tech skills for entrepreneurs. This really takes what you accomplish in concept development and business model development and planning, and you have a one-on-one relationship with your professor talking through what technology is needed to ensure my company is successful. We also have study abroad options with two notable trips going to Cuba and Barcelona. No prerequisites. I'm going to have Maggie and Tuneishia talk a little bit more about this, but this is designed as well for the working professional. It's self-paced. There's online plus hybrid plus in-person options. Internship options where you can work face-to-face with an organization in your field. And the program completion can be completed as shortly as 1 year or as long as 5 years. So a big window of time for you to be successful here. Mag, I want to pull you in. Give me two of your favorite classes that you took in the program and why.
Um, I always mention, I forget what it's called now with a Jung. What was it? A personal branding that I took with Tuneishia.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible with the class names, but with MP and um
Joel,
with Joel, yes. What is that one
this
called?
the startup launch, ENTP
Startup launch,
6024.
yes. Yeah, I really like that one as well. Both of
What
those,
did you like about the startup launch? Tell us.
well, I mean, just our professors, what I mean? Just having an opportunity to learn from Joel Apple and MP at the same time is super cool. But that one, I like really practical information, and all those classes are just very practical stuff that you could go and use, the next day if you already have a business. It's not like a lot of theory, or if one day, if your business hits, multi-million dollar, this is what you got to do, or it's literally just building something and getting it going and how to figure out if it's the right idea or the wrong idea. So yeah, just really enjoyed those. I think mostly for the professors. I think John and Joel and MP are all really good people to learn from.
Love it. I love it. How about you, Tanisha? Any classes that really stuck out for you?
Same. The personal branding is one that has stuck with me since spring of 2024. To be honest, it just changed me and my outlook on myself, but just also in business. I think our class got close and just hearing like what we learned about ourselves. And I had more than two. Um, the startup lunch was one, mission driven entrepreneurship, and then the tech
Mm,
skills for startups. All of those, um, just as an entrepreneur, it helped me have a different lens on how to continue to grow my organizations, how to network, and how to stay aligned with the mission, vision, and values of your organization, but also yourself. So,
mm.
learning from Joe Apple, learning from NP, learning from John, learning from Dr. Leo, Dr. Dixon, Professor Dixon. It was life changing. And I definitely say it is something that everyone who's on here and who will listen later should take advantage of, because you will not be the same.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and mission-driven entrepreneurship is another one of our classes I always love to highlight because, um, one of the focuses of entrepreneurship is really simply, can your idea make money? And can it return, for your investors? And that is a very practical way to look at this. I've it's the reality of the industries we're going into and the type of work that we're looking to do. But one of the things that we love about the social entrepreneurship course is that it offers budding entrepreneurs the opportunity to learn one of two things, if not both. One, how do I drive certain elements of my revenue towards social justice, environmental, educational, health and sanitation, whatever it may be, community building opportunities for those in need of it, either here in the US or on a more global scale. And so how do you structure the finances of your organization so that you're able to do good with your success? But then the other idea is if you're starting an actual mission-driven organization or a nonprofit, you unfortunately have to stay in business yourself. That is a key component of this, and so you have to have the financial background to be successful, even if you're doing good work. There's no money given out just because you want to do good work. And so teaching students how to make those companies viable from a financial standpoint, I think is a real essential aspect of this program. One last question for both of you, just quickly. We talked about this a couple slides ago, but just to reemphasize the lack of prerequisites within the program, how do you feel that that impacted your overall degree planning? Maybe Tuneishia, if you want to talk a little bit about this.
It allowed me to um, kind of just take opportunities to tap into areas that I was curious about. So, innovation in blockchain, just understanding how you can apply that to entrepreneurship. And in another curriculum or another organization or institution, you may not be able to take that if you are not
Yeah,
uh, in, like, computer science or whatever it may be. If you're not interested in AI or finance, you would have to have a prerequisite to take it. And here you don't. And so I had the opportunity to take the innovation for blockchain. I had the opportunity to take the AI driven entrepreneurship, which was super amazing. And just in how it all applies to today. AI is in everything that we do. And so if you were fearful about implementing AI into your organization, this right here, not having a prerequisite or having to know everything about AI, it introduced you to it and then help you understand how it can be beneficial, what what things you need to look for um, to make sure that you are not susceptible to any harm in your business. So, not having those prerequisites allowed you to kind of explore and then figure out, like, oh my gosh, I really like this. I want to dig further into this. And I kind of want to shift what I'm doing over here.
yeah. Yeah, no, I love that, and that's a really good point. The last thing we want to do is say no when someone says that they want to study something. So we try to do everything we can to incorporate as much of a diverse curriculum in our program as possible, so students can get that type of insight that may not directly apply to your business, but is just kind of something I'm curious about and I want to know about. And having that ability to bounce between. I always talk about the capstone courses, the concept development, business model development and planning, startup launch, and tech skills for entrepreneurs. Those four classes, if you're going to take only four classes within our program, I think those are the absolute most important because they ultimately put you as a student in the position where you can end knowing what your business plan is, what that looks like, what that feels like. But then other classes that you mentioned, blockchain, which has since been replaced. But classes like corporate entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship through acquisition, AI-driven entrepreneurship, even lean marketing offer you the opportunity to kind of dabble in different areas of entrepreneurship. So all of this is great information and whatnot. This gives you kind of a clear sense of what our program is, but why should I do this? Well, I've got five reasons I think are really essential. And then I want to hear from Mag and Tuneishia why they chose to select this program, and why even after graduation they still think that students should take it. So the exclusivity is number one. We are the only MS in entrepreneurship here in Colorado, and as of today, we are still the only MS in entrepreneurship on the Front Range of the Rockies. So from a locational standpoint, again, being in a city like Denver, there's so much opportunity here. Being in the only program of this is really something to stand out and really showcase yourself as a leader and a pioneer in your industry. Affordability. So we do everything we can to make this as close to one tuition rate. Regardless of residency, if you are a non-resident, you are going to pay as close to in-state tuition for this program as it's economically possible. This is not something that is true across the business school here at CU Denver. This is not something that's typically true in programs. We felt that for an entrepreneurship program, we should try something bold. And so one of the things that we did was we eliminated the distinction between in-state and out-of-state. So out-of-state students pay essentially in-state tuition plus some additional fees that just drive that a little bit higher. Plus, we also have scholarships for all students applying for our program. So if you are financially cautious in any way, or concerned in any sort of way about the finances of the program, we're here to work with you as best we can. Flexibility, as we've been talking about, classes offered online, in person, hybrid. You build your own curriculum. We set up the guardrails, and then you build within there to make sure that you're building something that works for you. The experiential elements, I'm going to talk about this here in a couple of slides in a little bit more detail, but the ability to go beyond the classroom, learn by doing, is really essential for this program. And then your mindset shift, learning how to create growth with minimal resources. Most small businesses are at best 10 to 15, 10 to 20 employees. There's a lot of people wearing multiple hats. Most businesses are smaller than that. Most businesses are CEO, who also is the director of marketing and also in charge of payroll and finance. And what we want to allow students to do, even if they don't actually go and launch their own businesses, we want students to have the ability to work in a lean mindset that allows them to not require a ton of resources to be successful. Tuneishia, why did you choose the MS in Entrepreneurship program? Why do you recommend students choose it?
Because of all the things that are listed here, all five of those, the affordability, that the exclusivity. So this is the only program in Colorado. And so that sets us apart. It's highly recommended. Like, we know that entrepreneurs are pretty much the heart of our communities and of the country. It's the mom and pop shops that help bridge communities together, that help the income. And so this right here, like, all of these things are a part of that for me. And then to go beyond the classroom, to kind of go there, you have opportunities to publicly speak and share your ideas with community members, with investors, with mentors, like the pitch for the climb, and pitch your idea. You have opportunities to be a part of workshops, and then the mindset shift. I believe that is really, really important when you are an entrepreneur. You have to shift your mindset to understand that nothing is impossible. You are the common denominator of everything that happens for you and to you. And so when you shift your mindset to understand that you are supported, that you have these opportunities, and you can grow your business, but also grow yourself. So it's personal and professional development. There's no limit to what you can do, be, or have. And so all of these things were really important to me, and the flexibility, because I also have a son who is 20 years old and he's in college as well. So there's things that I also need to do to support him, and having that flexibility on top of the things that I had to do for my two businesses.
That's essential. The fact that, many of our students are coming in with life as well. This isn't like students just coming in out of undergrad who are just kind of focused on school. These are students who have families themselves, who have jobs themselves, and that flexibility, I think, is really essential. Thank you so much, Tuneishia.
Thank you.
Mag, how about you? What about us made you feel like this was the right program for you?
Um, well, like Tanisha said, I just had never heard of anything similar. I honestly did not know you could get a degree in entrepreneurship. And as you know, Brian, when I first talked to you, I was like very skeptical and even wondering if it was even something necessary or not necessary, but worth it. You know what I mean? But honestly, once I looked at like the different classes they had to offer, they all looked very interesting to me too. I was like, well, I honestly would like to take a lot of these, you know, and yeah, I just think that it is different than like a business program where it's a lot of things that I think as an entrepreneurs don't really interest us. You know what I mean? It depends. As she said, entrepreneurs have different paths, but um, I think a lot of us is just create something and see if people are interested and try to sell it. And I feel like a lot of business programs are a lot of around that, but don't just get to that point. So I think just focusing on entrepreneurship and how to build something from the bottom up rather than teaching somebody just how to be a part of something bigger than themselves and how to essentially just I never understood going to school to be an employee the rest of your life. That just doesn't make sense to me. And this program was very clear that uh it's not for like you said, there's entrepreneurship and there's people, if that's a path they want to take. But to me, it was clear that it wasn't, something just preparing us to go be workers for somebody. This was really, like you're kind of taking the risk and kind of put it all behind you and kind of saying, well, I'm gonna do it. So really, like I don't even see the degree as something that like, oh, I'm gonna get jobs with or something. To me, it was more the knowledge in the classes and all the information that I took rather than finishing and being like, oh, now I have the degree. That was very minimal to me. Now I was like, oh, now I know have the knowledge and I could get to doing. So that's what stood out to me, was really a program focused on strictly entrepreneurship that was very like revolutionary to me, I thought.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, I mean, from a job prospect standpoint, you're absolutely right. This is a relatively new degree. The MS entrepreneurship has only been around for a couple of years. We are the first here in Colorado. We expect it to grow. I think the biggest selling point that students can make with the program from a job prospect standpoint is that it's a small business MBA. It gives you the exact same skill set, the exact same marketability. It just focuses more on smaller businesses. But I appreciate you guys both sharing that. More to come from Tuneishia and Mag here. I want to just share the 6 program goals and learning outcomes that we have for the MS in Entrepreneurship program. So any student who is enrolling in the spring, definitely take note of this. We want you to cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset. We want you to ultimately be resourceful, be energized, feel creative, be adaptive, really put yourself in a position where you think like an entrepreneur. We want you to communicate effectively. Part of being an entrepreneur is selling your ideas through a short 2 to 4 minute pitch. Janisha and Mag both have been through this where you're face to face with an entrepreneur or an investor, and you have to tell them your idea in a short period of time, and then you got to take a bunch of feedback from them. And oftentimes, the number one piece of feedback that our mentors share with students is that they did not know what the business was that the student was offering, what the product was, what the target market was, what the differentiation was. That's where a lot of students are at the start of their program. What we then do is grow you into a place and help you grow into a place where you are able to communicate to someone in that 2 to 4 minute window exactly what your product is, exactly what makes it different, and exactly what the target market you're looking for is and what the financials are for it. That is a huge skill. That's a huge challenge. We offer events throughout the year where I've seen students get super nervous. They're very confident up until the moment that they need to go and talk to an entrepreneur and share their ideas. And that's where the magic happens. Because once they start putting themselves out there, once they start communicating, they realize what they need to be saying to winning people over, what they can drop from their overall pitch. And you see that thing refined, and it puts you in a really, really strong position. Um, Leading entrepreneurially, this is huge. We've talked about this, but from a lean standpoint, how do you run multiple departments while also running the organization? All of that we're going to talk about in courses. Being mission driven, we talked about this with regards to the mission driven entrepreneurship course and the focus that we have on service and the focus that we have on ensuring that these businesses are giving back. That's a huge point of pride for us. Capitalizing on innovation. So right now, AI is all the rage and it's everywhere. How do we utilize AI to build out businesses and to put businesses in a position where they're more efficient, actually more efficient, and they're more responsive to customers? And then going beyond just theory. You will notice with a lot of classes you take that there are not necessarily, thick textbooks that you need to read and understand all this terminology and all this background research into why entrepreneurial focus, came into being, and why we run businesses the way that we do. The goal of this program is less how many terms can you read back to us that you understand, but how do you put into practice what we've taught you? So, from a going beyond just theory standpoint, sure, there are going to be tests, sure, there will be books, sure, there will be projects, but at the end of the day, what we want you to do is showcase to us that you know how to act like an entrepreneur through experience. Um, Mag, what were some of your own personal goals in the overall program? And do you feel like you achieved them throughout?
Hmm. That's a good question. You mean like before I started, what I kind of thought I would get out of it?
Yeah, or just, as you went along, like what became kind of your big goals as a
Mhm.
student?
Well, I think starting my so quick, like a little brief. So before I started, I was running a catering business, and I had just finished an audio engineering degree, and I was kind of in this place where I was already wedding DJing and kind of doing things with that. But I've always been an entrepreneur, so one day, I just started catering for a while, and I was doing that for like 2 years, and then I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. I felt like my business wasn't really moving anywhere, and I was just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
um and all my answers were like leading me back to consultants, this and that, things you got to pay for. So then I was like, I guess I really never took the time to like learn business in another way. I've known business my whole life from doing that, from just selling things, flipping things, whatever kind of small business that, most people do. But
Hmm.
starting to do something more kind of legit, I guess, I realized like, hey, I've never actually even written a business plan. Every time I go to consultants or anything, they'd be like, well, where's your plan, this and that. So I think my goal was to just kind of learn a little bit more how to properly do business in order for it to scale and grow, because anybody could do something for themselves and kind of get something, but what's the next step for it to actually turn into something actually profitable? And so I think that was my goal, is just kind of learn the basics of accounting and like the this thing, just basic fundamental skills like that. But in the process, which is another thing where I think when you were talking about the class, I think one of the benefits in is just also getting exposed to different things and new ideas and getting answers. You know what I mean? Like maybe you take a class, like you mentioned, the mission driven one, where you might not have that in your radar, and then you take it and now that's your new goal or anything. But long story short, after the first few classes, I was already kind of on the line, but I decided to stop catering and focus fully on the DJ thing that I was just kind of freelancing for. And it just kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, this is actually a much better idea, more profitable idea. So we went along with it. And yeah, I think that with kind of once I was in there, it turned into how can I learn how to build businesses, rather than how to grow my business. The goals kind of changed to build something, and actually learn how to, if I have any idea, how can I bring it to life? So that kind of became my goal after. There was this, I just want to learn how to build the businesses and how to make it good, even if at certain point I could leave somebody else running it and not have to, do everything myself. But the starting the business kind of became my passion a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean that those general business skills, though, those are really hard to learn. Those are things that um, you have to sometimes know the right people. You have to, in some cases, have chosen those studies before you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And what we feel is that we should be able to still provide those. Tuneishia, any larger goals that you accomplished within the program that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so when I came into the program, it was more or less just kind of everything I think I know nothing, and be smart and be open to receive like everything new. So I had these businesses, how to grow them and how to make sure that they are sustainable, making sure like I had the ideas of mission driven, but actually putting a name to it, social enterprise and understanding what it means to be that and to continue with that model. So I had the ideas, but then I had the definitions and I was able to apply. My ultimate goal is to grow my business, to make sure, to confirm and reaffirm that it was a viable business
Mm,
model that I had to network and to connect, to be around the coaches and mentors, to grow, to ask the questions so that I'm not stagnant. And I
mm,
believe that I have done that. And I have grown a network and also look at CU Denver as a family in within that I have acquired, um, which is really beautiful in itself to have a community, to have a family, to continue to be able to reach out to individuals. And it's not surface level because sometimes you hear that, like, we're all family and after this is over, we'll stay connected. But when you reach out, you don't hear back. And
sure.
that's not the case. There's always the opportunity to be in community within CU Denver. There's always going to be an email about another event so that you can continue even after you have your degree to grow your business, to grow yourself, to grow your community, to grow your network, because we do know that your net worth is connected to your network. And so if
Mm,
you don't have that, you are probably alone. And it is not because you have to be, it's because you choose to be.
it's a very, very good way to put it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's talk a bit about the experiential learning component. I want to get your guys' thoughts because both of you were very experiential within the program. Um, as it's defined, it's the process of learning through experience and learning through reflection on doing. So essentially, you can learn everything in the books in the classroom, but can you actually do it? Is this something you can actually apply? What we try to do for students is focus on testing out real ideas, getting real feedback from day one. We do this through networking opportunities. Students are able to gain credit through internships. There are competitions that we offer, student clubs, the climb, rep bridges, mentorships with local entrepreneurs. We're going to talk a bit more about that on the next slide. But Mag, I want to ask you, you completed an internship within the program. Um, how essential was it for you to get the hands-on working experience needed to be successful and feel like you were successful within the program?
Um, I think it was good. I saw it more also as an opportunity to kind of give back and like actually use some of the skills that I wouldn't necessarily use in my own business. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm doing something different or something like, for example, the mission driven. I my internship was with a nonprofit and I run, just a for-profit business. So there's a lot of concepts that I learned there that I wouldn't necessarily apply to my business, but being able to like go and be an intern with a nonprofit, then I got to, kind of give them like, okay, we learned this, we learned that, and kind of so that was cool for me because like I said, then it opened my eyes to where okay, well maybe one day I could maybe go into the nonprofit world. I don't know. I don't think so. I know Tanisha maybe like I don't know what your ideas are, but I know there's a lot of other struggles there too, and a lot of other things that just make it so much harder. But I think just kind of learning that and being able to help like I said, organizations that even I'm not in that world per se, but I just saw it more than that, more than it kind of helping me in my business. It was just more of a way to, like you said, put to practice things that I hadn't learned that maybe I wouldn't be able to right away in my own business.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like, there's so many formulas and correct ways to do things and recommendations, and then you get into a job and you realize, well, this operates slightly differently, and there's a little bit more adaptability and experimentation I need to apply to this. So having that ability to be flexible and adaptable, I think is really, really essential to learn within a university program. Tuneishia, you were present at so many of our networking events, so many of our pitch events, so many of our climb events. You were constantly talking with entrepreneurs and investors and getting insight and feedback. How did those experiences help to shape you as an entrepreneur through the program? How did those impact your learning?
Didn't realize I was muted. So it helped me
You're
understand
good.
where I wanted my business to go, what I needed to hold on to, so the foundational pieces that I had in place, and where I needed to pivot or improve. Um, so one of the things one of the places I got to grow was in the Rutbridge's venture fund, to understand what a venture fund is, what it means to be a part of it, and what it actually does, and how it impacts different entrepreneurs, different businesses, and to be in a space with individuals who have the knowledge that I desire. I don't it was amazing. I don't want to just use that word, but it was thought provoking. It allowed me to see what it really takes to actually push your business forward.
Mhm.
Um, I also had the opportunity to talk with different mentors and coaches, one being Joel Apple, and literally like capitalize off of his knowledge because he was so forthcoming. He was so honest. And I don't, I'm sure Mag probably has the same sentiments. I don't want to speak for him, but he has done some great things and he continues to do great things. And to be able to sit and have the conversation, or to hear like this is a great business idea, and him to introduce us to his networks by bringing in speakers that we could also ask questions to, but find alignment and say, hey, can we reach out later, and them actually be open to talking and speaking with us. So it's pretty cool. So all the most of these people on here, yeah, Joe Apple, Karen Hertz, Holiday Brewing. It was awesome to just have these opportunities to sit in the space and actually ask questions, but also listen. I think
Mhm.
that was one of the things in this program that you get to do. You get to listen and then apply the information and then go from there. So this has been a great opportunity, and you will continue to grow. I just say to the individuals that are on here right now, if you are still wondering if this is what you want to do, bet on yourself, do it. It it will change your life. It will shift your mindset, and you will be doing dope things. I have no doubt, and you're probably already doing them, but it's just going to enhance it even.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, it says Tanisha referenced here just a quick snapshot of our advisory council, our mentorship opportunities. So, our overall mentorship council includes some of Colorado's most recognizable innovators and industry experts. Just a quick snapshot. Joel Apple, you've probably heard his name throughout here. He is the co-founder of OxyClean, Orange Glow, Kaboom, and Denver own Zadie's Deli. Fantastic food there. Karen Hertz, the chief barista and founder of Holiday Brewing Company, the largest gluten-free brewery in America, and Sam Kumar is the CEO and founder of Cybersanic. This just gives you a quick snapshot of the industries. We have people who are marketing experts, people who are patent experts, people who have started social media or entrepreneurship through social media, people who have started tech firms, people who are, everything. It's across the entire industry, brick and mortar, whatnot. Um, the goal of the mentorship program is to offer you as a student the opportunity to develop your ideas, continue to network, and grow as an entrepreneur while taking courses. I encourage all students to take advantage of that. And like Tuneishia and Mag have been saying, these people come to our events. They are here willing to donate their time, give you feedback, give you insight, talk with you, help you, introduce you to the right people, so on and so forth. It's a huge, huge opportunity. I encourage all students to take advantage of. We will send out information about that throughout your program so you're aware of it, plus internship, plus networking opportunities. Tuneishia talked a bit about Joel. Mag, were there any other mentors that you spoke with during your program that you'd like to shout out at this point at all?
Yeah. As she mentioned, Joel was definitely a great one. Uh, Leo, I forget his last name, the one that was my last mentor for the climb. I thought he was great, which I just saw you mentioned that there's a duo with the IT and the entrepreneurship. So I'm imagining he's doing a lot of that or something, but because he has a PhD in IT systems or something, right? But he
Hmm.
also has like an MBA or something. So he was very cool to talk to. Um, but really, like everybody, every week there was a different guest speaker in a different class, and they were all great. Could you remind me the name of? He was a student that started Rosenberg Bagels
Oh,
Company.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Josh Pollock.
Josh Pollock. I thought he was really good to listen to him because again, he comes from the student and
Yeah.
his business. Like I know Rosenberg's. I've worked at a lot of restaurants where they used to buy the bagels and they used to be like, "Oh, these are from Rosenberg's." Yeah, so I thought it was like a very old company or something. Then I meet the guy. He doesn't look much older than me. It's super cool to see that and just see people that have been through it and are doing super cool things. Like she mentioned, the Holiday and I think that there's a mix, right? It's like she said, the friends of our professors and stuff like that that have done some great things, but also past students that are, growing businesses that we see around town and are doing, super cool things. And obviously, Jake Jabs going, we took, the tour to the warehouse and just meeting Jake Jabs and just listening to his philosophy on business. And I think that's another cool thing is seeing different people's philosophies, right? Like you could see, Jake Jazz is all about, keeping everything in house, not outsourcing anything. Then we might talk to another entrepreneur the next week that is all about outsourcing and not, having any overhead spending on his books.
Yeah.
So it's just different, advice from people, and you get to, kind of see what path is better for you or for whatever you're doing.
And that's the thing is you're going to get a lot of voices, a lot of ideas, a lot of insight, and some of it may not directly apply to you. Some of it may apply directly to where you're at. And that process of learning how to take good advice that may not be applicable for you, and so kind of compartmentalizing that, putting that to the side while you move forward with your business, that's a huge skill for entrepreneurs because one of the things that's interesting about entrepreneurs is you raise your hand and say, I need some help, and like 15 people are going to flood your way and probably 13 of them will have information that may not be necessarily applicable for you. But the conversation, the networking, the step forward, and that sort of standpoint is always valuable. All right, I'm going to jump through a couple of these slides here. I want to get a couple more pieces of information here from our ambassadors and for our students out there. Thank you all for hanging with us here today. A couple more bits of information about our program and the application before we go. And once again, I threw in the chat here. If you have any questions for our ambassadors, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we will answer those by the end of the presentation. So the Business Career Center is just a resource I want you all to be aware of before you start here. The advisors in the Career Center work exclusively with business school students. They connect students to the business community around Denver. They sponsor career fairs, industry shadow days. They help you meet with firms, and they develop strategies to execute career goals. They do this through mock interviews, resume assistance, salary negotiations, internships, job search assistance, lots and lots of opportunities for students to tap into the resources, not just within our center, but also in the larger career center at large. Tuition is always a big question that students have. In-state tuition rate. So I said we do everything we can to get it as close to even. In-state tuition rate is 772 per credit hour, so 2316 per course. Non-resident, so non-Colorado student or international students, 927 per credit hour, so 2781 per course. That is about $500 less per credit hour than you see in the larger business schools. So we're doing everything possible to subsidize our overall tuition, put you in a position as a non-resident to pay as close to in-state tuition as possible. The estimated total cost for the program is between $26,000 and $34,000, including fees for the entirety of your program. That $34,000 is if you're an international student paying international fees versus Denver residents. So a lot of the differentiation comes from university fees that we can't control. We do everything we can to keep tuition in line. Tuition and university fees, obviously these do go up on an annual basis, so just be mindful. This is for the 25-26 academic year. That will go up by about 3% each year. All right, applications. Our domestic priority application deadline has passed, but we are still accepting applications for the final deadline of December 15th to start in the spring 2026 start date. The application is there's a digital application, short answer essay questions, an updated resume, transcripts from all institutions where credit was awarded. Important, no GMAT or GRE required. References and interviews are optional. Application fees are $50, but if you've attended this and you reach out to me, you will receive a application fee waiver to submit your application. So you won't have to pay that $50 application fee. And then international applications, the application is the same as the domestic. There's just a couple of good differences. So there's a required $75 fee because we will do an internal review of your credit, of your transcripts, and do our own credential evaluation. So you don't have to pay the $300 fee to WES or ECE. You pay the $75 application fee. We take care of that. TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo will be your English language proficiency exam that you will want to complete for the application. And then the F1 student visa. This is something that all students will have to apply for, your I-20 to come to the United States. We will provide information about that plus links to the ISSS department and the OIA department so that you have resources to work directly through your international application. We've passed the final deadlines for spring 2026 for international applicants. So the next available deadline for international applicants is fall 2026. That priority deadline is March 15th. That final deadline is May 15th. Plenty of time to get your application in if you are coming from out of the United States and be eligible for your visa. Tuneishia, any advice that you have for applicants who are pursuing this program, just so that they can have a leg up in how to get accepted?
Submit that application.
Just do it. I love
Just
it.
do it. Don't hesitate. If you're on the call and you've been thinking about it, that means that you want to be here. Just do it.
There you go.
There's all types. You see, it's the fee is waived. Do it. International, do it. You get to meet some great people like Mag and myself. You get to meet Brian. You get to meet the team. So do it. You're going to expand your network. You're going to expand your mind. Just everything. It's growth all around. So just do the thing. Don't be afraid, and you shall have the power.
I love that. Just do it. Mag, any thoughts for you? How do you top just do it? I don't know, but you're going to try.
Yeah, no, I agree with her. I think if I recall correctly, I think the application process is fairly simple, you know what I mean? I don't think it's a lot of
We're not
like
trying to fool anyone. We're trying
yeah,
to just
exactly.
help you out.
Yeah, so I think if it's for you, I think definitely, as she said, just do it. And I think that, I think you'll have the right outcome because, as you mentioned, it's very flexible. I was concerned, coming in with a music degree, if how that would be looked at or anything like that. But then again, like, as a musician, most artists are entrepreneurs, you know what I mean, having to sell your services, your art, or whatever you do. So yeah, I don't think that there needs to be a lot of like things to be worried about, or my qualifications, that's where they come and speak to you. But from my perspective, I was a little nervous, and you apply, then you get accepted, then you go through it. So I think, as Tuneishia said, just about doing it.
Love it. Love it. All right. And then wrapping up with a couple bits of info here. So students are eligible to receive a scholarship per each entrepreneurship course that they take on an as-needed basis. Additional scholarships may be available through CU Denver at large, but our scholarship, the Mordecai Scholarship application, we need your name, your CU Denver ID, your current CU and transfer GPA, the classes you're registered for. This is important. You cannot apply for scholarships within our university until you've registered for classes. So anyone who has questions about scholarships, you need to get accepted, enroll, and register for classes first, and then we can apply for scholarships. There's a short essay that you need to complete. This needs to be done on a semester by semester basis. So if you're taking 2 classes in the spring and you want to apply scholarships for those, and you apply for the spring semester. If you take classes in summer and then fall, you'll reapply. Don't worry, you'll get notification emails from me in advance. I send these out on pretty much a monthly basis, but it's definitely something to keep in mind as you are thinking about applying for financial assistance within the program. I want to read just 2 student testimonials. One of them, bit awkward here. He's sitting here, so I hope that I get his words exactly correct. But Mag Castillo shared with us upon graduation. I joined the MS in Entrepreneurship program while running my wedding catering and entertainment business. I'd reached a point where I needed guidance and the right tools to grow. After joining the program and recognizing my strengths, I pivoted to focus fully on the entertainment side. I also realized the power of research and how it can elevate your decision making as a business owner. The program's flexibility and direct focus on entrepreneurship made it the right fit for where I was and where I wanted to go. The climb has been one of the most valuable experiences I could have imagined. Getting the chance to refine an idea, pitch it, and get real feedback from mentors and professionals who know what they're talking about made a huge difference. I plan to keep growing my entertainment business and launch new ventures along the way. Long term, I want to keep innovating and creating things that matter, building business that reflect who I am and what I stand for. That says it all right there. That's it right there. Joey Dykman graduated in spring of 2024, and he had to say that one of his favorite aspects of the MS in Entrepreneurship program is the hands-on experience you get in each class. It's not just regurgitating knowledge and following a textbook. It really feels like the instructors care about you and want to foster your development through these programs. You're able to bounce ideas off fellow students and faculty members, and it's a really great culture and a great place to learn. So last question for Mag and Tuneishia before we let everyone go here. Tuneishia, I know you just graduated this summer, so we're only a couple months out, but how do you feel that your experience in the program has impacted you since graduating?
It has been amazing. So I've been able to guest lecture for undergraduate students. I am teaching entrepreneurship and growing that and being able to apply the information that I've learned here with other individuals. I am expanding my business and growing my consulting firm as well as my nonprofit. And so just many doors of opportunity continue to open for this, but just my belief in myself has grown even more. I already knew that I could do it, but with the skills and the knowledge and the network that I have gained, it's my confidence is through the roof. It's to the moon and beyond.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. Mag, how about you? You graduated in the spring. How have you found that the program has impacted your overall ability to live and thrive and work as a small business owner and an entrepreneur yourself?
Yeah, so same. I've been able to apply a lot of the things I feel, and still growing it, but kind of actually said it's really more the confidence and the feeling that I have some answers, and it's just about applying them rather than feeling like I don't know what to do next. So I think that feeling really went out the door, and now it just turns into options. It's like, what can I do? Which of these options do I take, rather than I'm not sure what to do. But yeah, I just think that, I think she hit the nail on the head. It's just more on the confidence as an entrepreneur, going out and competing, against companies that have more money, more experience, that have been around for longer. And, you're trying to enter that world as, I mentioned, like with the entertainment world, I'm 2 years into my business trying to compete with, businesses with hundreds of reviews on their websites, hundreds of reviews on their Googles, a lot more money and stuff. So rather than being scared and being like, okay, I can never do it, it's just, okay, what steps am I going to take and how am I going to approach it. So really, I think the word is, she hit it correctly, is the confidence.
Love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much, Mag and Tanisha, for your time here today. Hope that everyone who attended and everyone who is watching in retrospect got a lot out of this. Was a very detailed, deep dive into our program featuring two of our fantastic alumni. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching here in the future. My contact information is up on the page here, so take a screenshot of this. Feel free to send me an email just out of the blue. Hey, I watched the student ambassador webinar. I got some questions. We'll set up a time to talk through the program, make sure that you've got everything in place to be successful. Happy applying, happy innovating. We look forward to see you all here soon. Thank you guys so much.